speak. But I'm especially grateful then for being given this time at the beginning to present my ideas first. Let me be transparent with my motives, as I hope you ask all speakers to be. I have an agenda. I am an elder, and I'm long past the seduction of fame or money or power. I speak to you today as a grandparent with 4 young children and a 5th on the way. And I've seized this opportunity to speak about their future, a future far less rich in biodiversity and natural abundance than when I was a child. My generation and the boomers who followed have lived like kings and queens and thoughtlessly partied as if there's no tomorrow. We forgot the lessons taught to us by our parents and grandparents who came through the Great Depression. Live within your means. Save some for tomorrow. Satisfy your needs, not your wants. Help your neighbors, because someday they will help you. Share, don't be greedy. Money doesn't make you a better person or more important person. Well, the party's over. We've got to remember those old aphorisms, clean up our mess, and start thinking about our grandchildren. I'm a scientist, and what we do is to probe the mysteries of the cosmos, to uncover laws and principles that explains what's going on in the world and how we can live within it. Physics tells us we can't build a rocket that will travel faster than the speed of light. I know at CERN they're saying maybe 6 kilometers faster than the speed of light, but don't hold your breath on that one. Physics tells us the law of gravity applies to all objects on Earth, that entropy means perpetual motion machines are not possible. Those are the laws of physics, and we live within them. In chemistry, diffusion constants, reaction rates, atomic properties set the limits of chemical reactions and the kinds of molecules that we can synthesize. Biology dictates our absolute need for clean air, clean water, clean soil, clean energy and biodiversity in order for us to survive and live in a healthy way. Those are laws of nature, and we can't change them. We have to live within their boundaries. Many other things are not forces of nature. We draw lines around our property, around cities, provinces, and countries. And boy, do we take them importantly. We will go to war, kill, and die to protect those borders. But you know what? Nature couldn't care less about human borders. Air, water, dust, storms, drought, global warming, fires, epidemics, migrating birds, fish, mammals, and insects pay no attention to our ideas of territory. Other things, capitalism, economies, corporations, markets, and currency, these are not forces of nature. We invented them. And if they don't work, we can and we must change them. Look at what happened in Copenhagen. 192 nations gathered to deal with the atmosphere that belongs to no one. 192 national borders, 192 economic priorities, trying to shoehorn nature to fit our agendas. It will never work unless we subordinate our priorities to the limits imposed by nature itself. For me, the Occupy movement is about ecos, the Greek word for household or domain. It's about defining our place in community, in the state, in the nation, and in the biosphere. What is our home? And how do we live in it sustainably, with opportunity and meaning and happiness as our highest aspirations. Ecos is home. Ecology is the study of home. Economics is its management. But we elevate economy above ecology. For 5 years, the Prime Minister of Canada has never acknowledged the reality of human-induced climate change, or that Canada is the industrialized nation most vulnerable to its impact. And now he's cutting back on scientists in Environment Canada and research on climate, so then we don't have to listen to the facts. Mr. Harper has steadfastly said we can't reduce greenhouse gas emissions because it will destroy the economy. First of all, it's not true. Sweden, a northern industrialized country like us, has a carbon tax, has reduced its greenhouse gas emissions 8% below 1990 levels, while its economy grew by 44%. But more egregious, Mr. Harper lifts the economy above the very air that keeps us alive. Let's put the eco back into economics. There's an old saying that money talks. I've talked to a lot of loonies, but they've all been people. Money may literally talk, may not literally talk, but today it controls and sets the agenda for our governments. Occupy is not just about the 1% who continue to rake in an ever-increasing proportion of society's wealth, while 99% bear the real cost. Occupy is about corporate power. Corporations have become bigger than most governments on the planet, and they are no longer bound by national borders, laws, or standards. Occupiers know, because so many of you are young, that the terrible inequities represented by the 1% today are also intergenerational. Today's corporations and the super rich are increasing wealth at the expense of generations to come, exhausting resources, extinguishing species, poisoning air, water, and soil. Yet economists discount the estimated costs of these problems that will be most strongly felt by successive generations to come. Have you ever heard a politician call for mass spending for the sake of future generations, or children who can't vote, or for youth who don't bother to vote? Why does the government that we elect to look after our well-being and our future act as a cheerleader for corporate sectors? Because money talks. For years, the auto sector fought every progressive innovation, from seat belts to catalytic converters to mileage targets to airbags. It will cost too much. We'll be put out of business. Let the markets rule. Don't legislate. Trust us, is what they said. For 10 years, Chrysler had data that proved airbags save lives. Yet for years, the auto sector fought Ralph Nader, while hundreds of thousands of people who could have been saved by airbags died. And when their beloved free market shifted to favor foreign companies, those bastions of free enterprise came crawling to governments and asked for bailouts. David Lewis was right, they're corporate welfare bums, and they got the money. But they got the money with very few strings attached. Why does our government, Ag Canada, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, act like cheerleaders for GMOs, declaring them substantially equivalent to normal food and thus not requiring special standards of safety, yet denying the requirement of labeling so at least we can choose what to eat? Money talks, just ask Monsanto. Remember the tobacco industry's campaign of denial, spending tens of millions to assure us that smoking and secondhand smoke were not hazardous. All the while, their own experts knew the health dangers. Why is the pharmaceutical industry allowed to do its own research on drug safety instead of independent labs, and spend hundreds of millions of dollars to support an army of lobbyists, with the result that the fastest rising component of health costs are drugs? Money talks. Why do we continue to subsidize the fossil fuel industry with billions of our tax dollars while they are reporting record profits year after year? Do you think the development of the tar sands, the Enbridge pipeline, or LNG ports will be possible without massive subsidies from us, the taxpayers? Money talks. Fossil fuel companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars to inform us fossil fuel-caused climate change is not real. It is. While saying that scientists are divided on the issues, they are not. While supporting right-wing think tanks and skeptics and websites, all to confuse the public and keep government from acting. And while they're doing this, they are in full knowledge that what they are denying is real. If this isn't immoral, I don't know what is. And yet Canada calls tar sands oil ethical. Exxon has reported record profits, yet has fought against a class action suit brought by people impacted by the Exxon Valdez oil spill. Exxon has lost over and over again in the courts, but has appealed each time, and to this day, Exxon has not paid a single cent to the victims of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. And Exxon is one of the major contributors